A cheetah is crouched in the long grass, watching a herd of gazelle drift across the plain. This is the fastest land animal alive, an ambush built entirely around catching the one that can't keep up. And there she is, a heavily pregnant female at the back of the group, moving in slow, heavy steps, falling behind with every second. She is the guaranteed catch, the one this whole body was designed to run down. The cheetah watches her for a long moment, and then it shifts its weight, picks a healthy young adult near the front, and goes after that one instead. Stop and think about what you just read, because it shouldn't be possible. A predator turning down the easiest meal in front of it breaks the one rule everyone thinks nature runs on. Survival of the fittest is supposed to mean you take the weak one every time. And a pregnant animal is the textbook definition of weak. Slower, heavier, reflexes dulled, attention split. On paper, she is the perfect target. Yet something pulls the predator off her over and over across dozens of species. And when biologists went out to figure out why, the answer turned out to be far stranger and far more precise than anyone expected. Stay with me to the end, because the last piece of this is about an instinct sitting inside you right now. One nobody ever told you that you had. Here's the setting. Dry season on the savannah, a pride of lions that hasn't eaten in 2 days. Hungry, alert, watching a group of zebra, and in that group is a mare so pregnant she can barely keep pace, breathing hard, visibly straining. Every lion there can see it. And the hunt that follows goes after a fit young male at the edge of the herd. Not her. The question is simply, why? The first explanation most people jump to is pity. We assume the predator must feel something, some flicker of mercy. Set that aside right now, because it's almost certainly wrong. A starving lion does not spare a meal out of compassion. Hunger doesn't leave room for it. So if it isn't kindness stopping the kill, what is? The answer doesn't start with emotion at all. It starts with arithmetic. Every predator on Earth runs a calculation before it commits to a hunt. Not a conscious one. It happens down in the nervous system, automatically, every single time. The question underneath it never changes. What will this cost me? And what will I get back? Because for a predator, an injury isn't a setback. It's a death sentence on a delay. A cracked rib from a kick, a horn tear, a snapped tendon, any one of those means you can't hunt. And if you can't hunt, you starve. So predators don't actually chase the weakest animal in the group. They chase the animal that offers the most food for the least chance of getting hurt. And that distinction is everything, because it's exactly where pregnant prey stops adding up. Watch what a herd does when a pregnant member gets singled out, and you see the first reason. The herd doesn't scatter and leave her. It reorganizes. Elephants do this with something close to military precision. The pregnant female is moved into the middle, the largest adults turn outward and lock into a ring, and in seconds, one slow, exposed target has become a wall of several tons of muscle facing every direction at once. Nothing on the savannah breaks that ring. And it isn't just elephants. Musk oxen do the same, forming a horned circle with the vulnerable ones sealed inside. Cape buffalo take it further and go on the offensive. A herd will wheel around and charge lions outright to rip a member back out of their jaws, and they've been filmed doing it successfully. The moment a predator targets the weak one is often the most heavily guarded animal in the entire group. Which raises a genuinely strange question. why do the others bother? These animals are risking their own lives for someone else's pregnancy. And the answer isn't loyalty or affection or anything that warm. It's cold genetic self-interest playing out across a whole herd. In most of these groups, the animals around you are relatives, siblings, cousins, offspring, parents. The unborn calf inside that female carries copies of the same genes you're carrying. Defender. And you're defending your own genetic line whether you feel anything about her or not. Biologists call this inclusive fitness, and once you see it, a huge amount of animal behavior that looks like teamwork snaps into focus as something much more self-serving. Your genes win if her genes make it. So evolution wired the herd to treat her survival as its own. Now stack the second reason on top of the first. The female herself. A heavily pregnant animal isn't just slow. She's terrified, and a terrified expectant mother is one of the most dangerous things you can corner in nature. This shows up again and again in field observations. A pregnant zebra that gets trapped doesn't fold. She detonates. She kicks hard enough to shatter a jaw, spins, bites, throws her entire body weight into the attacker with nothing held back. A cow moose defending the calf she's carrying is, pound for pound, one of the animal's wildlife biologists warn people about most, precisely because that defensive fury comes out of nowhere and doesn't stop. Her brain is flooded with adrenaline layered over the hormonal state of late pregnancy, and the combination does something specific. It strips out the self-preservation. She isn't fighting to save herself. She's fighting for what's inside her, and that makes her reckless in a way that gets predators killed. And predators don't work this out by reasoning. They learn it through pain. A young lion that once tried to pull down a pregnant buffalo carries the memory of that impact for the rest of its life. One attempt, one broken lesson, and the rule is set. Don't do that again. Multiply that across a lifetime of hunts, and you get an animal that reads a defended pregnant female and simply declines, without any idea why it's declining. Some predators take the lesson even further and turn it into patience. Wolves and African wild dogs have been filmed shadowing pregnant prey for hours without a single lunge, just circling, watching, waiting. Not out of hesitation, but because experience has taught the pack that attacking a guarded expectant female costs more than she's worth. So they hold off and let the situation change. They wait for the herd to drift apart, or for a different animal, old, sick, limping, to present itself, and they take that one instead. That waiting points to something bigger, something almost philosophical. If predators keep skipping the pregnant females and keep taking the old and the failing, what does that do to the prey over generations? Follow it out. A predator that removes the animals past their breeding prime and leaves the reproducing ones untouched is behaving, in effect, like a filter. It trims the individuals who are no longer adding to the future and spares the ones who are. The prey population doesn't just endure. It keeps its capacity to reproduce intact. Some ecologists argue this produces a kind of long-term balance, not because the predator plans it, and not because it cares, but because the reckless hunters, the ones that killed breeding females and burned through their own food supply, eventually starved and left no descendants, while the ones that hunted with restraint survived and passed that behavior down. Be honest about this part. It's one of the most contested ideas in modern ecology. Plenty of researchers reject it outright. Others point to ecosystems where predator and prey numbers have held steady for thousands of years and say the pattern is real. That debate isn't settled. But the data on individual hunts is not in dispute. Pregnant animals get targeted noticeably less often than their sheer vulnerability says they should be. There's one last layer, and this is the one that should stop you. Because here it stops being about zebra at all. You're not a gazelle. You're not a wildebeest. But you are a mammal who evolved in this exact world, and your brain still carries the wiring that world installed. That flicker of discomfort you felt at the top of this, imagining a predator closing in on a pregnant animal, that isn't modern softness. That's old code running. Look across human cultures, every continent, every era, wildly different languages and gods and laws, and you find the same rule written into all of them. Don't harm the pregnant one. Researchers who study behavioral universals across cultures treat it as one of the clearest fingerprints of an evolved moral instinct. You didn't pick it up. You were built with the hardware for it already installed, and the reason is the same reason the herd folds itself around the expectant female. Protecting the pregnant members of your group is protecting the group's entire future. The ancestors who felt that pull left behind more surviving children than the ones who didn't. Which means you are here reading this specifically because the people you descend from guarded their pregnant women. The instinct paid off. It's the reason you exist. And here's the strange ending of it. You live in a world with no lions at the door. The predators are gone. The savannah is gone. But the wiring never left. When you feel that sudden urge to shield something fragile, a pregnant woman near the edge of a busy platform, a small child about to fall, an animal in obvious distress, that pull isn't only kindness. It's hundreds of thousands of years of survival math firing off inside you, right now, in this exact moment. The cheetah turned away from the easy catch because nature spent an unimaginable stretch of time making sure it would. And you feel what you feel watching it for the very same reason. You were never standing outside this system, looking in. You've been part of it the whole time.